Hey, coach. Look, we all understand that we live in a really busy world, right? One that's full of challenges. And I can guarantee to you that almost all entrepreneurs and business owners face pretty much the same problem of believing they don't have enough time. But the truth is, it's not the fact they've not got enough time, it's the fact that perhaps the time they have is not being managed effectively. Think about it. Are there people out there in the world who have more commitments than you now? Well, yeah, of course there are. Is the difference that they're better at managing their time and therefore seem to have more time than you and I? Once again, yeah, probably. So it's not about not having enough time, it's about using the time you have really effectively and having the right strategies to best manage the time that you have. So whether you have a 9 to 5 job as well as your coaching business, or a part-time job, or other commitments, family commitments, there could be many things that can get in the way, but it's about understanding the time you do have and how you're going to use that time. So the key word really is focus. At any given time, what we focus on determines how we spend our time. So are you focusing on being perfect, or do you focus on just getting it done? Do you focus on failure, or do you focus on feedback and refinement and getting it better next time? Do you focus on what you don't want, or do you focus on what you do want and actually taking action? Most importantly, do you focus on just getting through the day, or do you actually focus on your deeper mission and purpose in life, which I'm hoping is to get your coaching business up and running and getting it working effectively and getting the revenue that you want? So in your coaching business, guys, your number one focus should be to get at least 10 strategy sessions every month. It's a numbers game. If you get 10 a month, you're not going to convert every single one of those, but the likelihood is, even in the starting days, you're probably going to at least convert one or two to a high ticket program. And let's say you sell your program at £1,500, 2,000, 2,500. You're at least going to get your foot on the ladder and start bringing in 1K, 2K, 3K a month if you can get at least 10 strategy sessions every month. And as you get better at them, as you refine your messaging, as you refine your program, that conversion ratio is only going to get better and better. Even with 10 strategy sessions, if your conversion ratio then becomes 50%, you're going to be taking on 5 new clients a month. What's that going to mean? So planning and scheduling the tasks that are really important to helping you achieve that of getting 10 strategy sessions a month is an absolute must. Everything needs to be that blinkered vision for how do I get that number of strategy sessions. So planning and scheduling is a must. It allows you to get super focused in a visual format so that you don't get distracted. So the first thing we need to look at is, how do you improve your productivity? So if you look at the worksheet that's attached to this module, download the worksheet, and we're going to start by improving your productivity. So what's the ultimate outcome for your business in the next 12 months? What is it that you actually want? Do you want to be on 2K months in 12 months time, 5K months, 10K months? Get super clear on what it is you want to achieve and actually write it down. And there's power in writing something down. Okay, it's committed more to memory banks when you write things down, and it becomes more real. And not only that, it becomes something that you can dig back out again and refer back to remind yourself. So, ultimate outcome for your business in the next 12 months. Then get super clear on just how much time do you actually have each week to invest in your business to try and get this outcome. As I say, it could be that you work 9 to 5, maybe you've got a part-time job, maybe you've got 3 jobs, I don't know, but let's get super clear. If you only got 4 hours a week, have you got 20 hours a week? Have you got certain hours on certain days? Can you do afternoons? Can you do evening work? Are you just going to work on your business all day on Saturday or half day Sunday? Get super clear and realistic about the number of hours that you can commit per week to start chasing this outcome that you want. How much time do you feel you need each week? Now, this is slightly different. This is how much time you actually have. Okay. This up here is where you want to be. And I want you to get super realistic now and think, well, if I want to be here, is 20 hours enough? Is 4 hours enough? Do I actually need to spend 40 hours a week doing this? Do I need to spend 8 hours a week doing it? How do I find some more time? Because if I'm going to be here in 12 months' time, am I spending enough time? Is it going to require more time than the spare time I've got? So that leads us to the next bit, really, which is again is about being realistic. So let's say you've only got 4 hours a week spare, but you realistically think, well, I'm going to have to spend at least 8 hours a week to get to where I want to be. Well, what do you need to do to achieve your ultimate outcome? Well, you're going to have to find a way of finding another 4 hours a week. So what does that mean? What are you going to have to cut out? Is there a particular social activity? Is there a particular hobby that you've got that you can cut back on just whilst you're building your business? And I know it's not comfortable to think about creating more time or cutting back on things to create more finance, but ultimately, if you want to grow a coaching business, there has to be an element of sacrifice. There has to be some areas where you cut back so that you can focus on doing the right things with the right amount of time that you need to do to get this ultimate outcome. And if you're not prepared to do this, fine, lower what your expectation is. And then do this exercise again and go through with a lower expectation. What you need to be is realistic about where you want to be and whether that's feasible and what you're prepared to do in order to get there. Because if you haven't got that crystal clear at this stage, you are aiming at something that you're either not fully bought into or you don't even think is achievable. And that is not a good state of mind to be in when you're embarking on trying to grow a business. So I want you to get super clear on those things first of all. And then what we're going to do is try and improve your focus. So what more do you need to do to achieve your outcome? So what things are there that you currently don't know how to do? Do you hate sales? Are you crap at writing social media content? Do you believe that you perhaps need an extra tool in your toolbox? Again, look back at where you want to be and be really critical over the things that you don't have in your arsenal at the moment and write these down. Look back again at your ultimate outcome for the next 12 months and think about the number of strategy sessions. I mean, I'm saying really that you should be doing at least 10 strategy sessions, but that's assuming a reasonable, moderate business growth strategy of perhaps somewhere between 2 and 5K months. Maybe you've decided your ultimate outcome is to be on 20K months in 12 months' time. If that's the case, 10 strategy sessions isn't going to cut it. You're either going to have something like an 80% conversion ratio, or you're probably going to need something more like 20 strategy sessions a month. And don't forget, getting strategy sessions themselves and having strategy sessions eats into your available time as well. So really think about how many strategy sessions do you think you need for your ultimate outcome. Then the next part is, what are the top 3 priorities that you believe are going to make the most difference in achieving your goal for your monthly strategy sessions? So for this purpose, I'm just going to, again, go back to the fact that I'm saying that you need 10 strategy sessions, right? So what are the top 3 priorities? Well, from when we looked at the Facebook content funnel, the key thing there was posting content, right? So what's one of the top priorities? Well, one of the top priorities that I would suggest is that you've got to be posting content. If you're not posting content, you won't get engagement, you can't start conversations, and you can't start pushing people down your content funnel. But what do you believe? I'm not here just to tell you what to put. I'm just here to try and inspire and give you some ideas. But maybe content is there. Maybe there's some other things that you feel you need. Maybe you're still partway through your accreditation and you genuinely don't feel comfortable enough until you've completed that to actually start taking new clients on. Fine, if that's you and that's where you are, then one of your top priorities is how can you speed up that process of finishing your accreditation off, right? So think about all of these things so that you understand what these top priorities are in order for you to get your chosen number of strategy sessions that you need to try and get. So what we're going to look at now is some of the less important activities. We've looked at where you want to be. We've looked at why that's important to you, the number of hours that you've got, the number of hours you think you should have, some of the things that you should be prioritizing. What we're now going to look at is how do we remove some of this waste? How do we get rid of some of the things that we might be focusing on that just aren't important? So What are 3 less important activities that you need to cut out? Less important activities. So, for example, in the client shit sorted framework, there is no mention whatsoever of getting your website up and running. There's no mention of creating funnels and ClickFunnels. There's no mention of creating ads, Facebook ads, Google ads. So are you doing some of those things? Are you doing some things that sit outside of the strategy that really aren't forcing you towards getting more strategy sessions? Because if that's the case, you need to be realistic and you need to start thinking about what are some of the things that I can stop doing, some of the things that I don't think are taking me on that path to getting more strategy sessions. So get super realistic, get super critical over yourself, and what are some of the things that you're doing that you don't need to do at the moment? Then I want you to think about 3 skills that you need to be better at to get more clarity on what you're doing on your business. So what is it that you don't understand about growing a business, having a successful business? I get that we have this framework, but ultimately there's some other things to do with launching a business that aren't covered in this course. So what are the legal sides of things? Yes, we're going to look at the coaching agreement, but the coaching agreement's not enough. What about invoicing? What about bookkeeping? What about indemnity insurance? Some of those things are also essential for business success. So I want you to think about, look at the framework and what things do you believe you're going to need to have your ultimately successful business that are not covered within this client attraction framework, and start listing those out. Maybe it's insurance, maybe it's some of the legals, maybe it's bookkeeping, maybe it's software, maybe it's getting an accountant. Okay, maybe it's getting a business mentor. What other things are you going to be putting down here that are going to be essential for your business success? And then I want you to think about what are 2 or 3 simple steps that you can take to improve these things that you've put down up here. Okay, so what steps are you going to take? Are you just going to ponder over, oh, well, I don't really know this, I'll get around to it at some point? No. Find out from somebody what the information is. If, for example, you're confused about what type of insurance you need, go and Google it. Go and speak to somebody who's already got a coaching business. Find out from them the type of insurance. Are they covered for 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million? What sort of cover do you need? What's the best insurance company to go with? From a financial perspective, are you thinking of being a freelancer, sole trader? Are you setting up a limited company to keep the liability of the company completely separate than you? What impact does that have? How do you register a business? Should you be VAT registered? All of those sort of skills that you might need to know, again, which are things that will probably be up here. Who can you ask? What actions are you going to take to get that clarity that you need? Get those written down. And then the final thing that I just want to look at very quickly is this beast here that always gets in our way of moving forward. So perfectionism. And I get it. I have previously been a perfectionist for at least 2, maybe even 3 decades. Everything needed to be spot on. I would beat myself up about it if it wasn't. I could not previously do things to like 70%, 80%. Okay? So there is a way to sort of train perfectionism out of you somewhat by using these 4 questions. Now, if you can ask yourself these 4 questions every day at the end of the day, or maybe in the morning for the previous day, for a period of time, and normally around about a month, it will help deprogram. Because what you will start to look at is what went well today and what did work, what went wrong and what's not working. And what you will start to see is patterns of the fact that what went wrong and what is not working is in no way linked to perfectionism. And here's the key thing. By doing this repeatedly, you will be constantly reinforcing every day the fact that perfectionism does not mean that everything goes well and everything worked. There are so many other factors that affect why things don't go well and things that aren't working. Things you can't even control, things you can't even influence, right? So by doing this exercise, it helps you realize that. What could be better and what did I learn are 2 other key things. And again, you will start to realize that some of the things that could be better and some of the things that you learn have got absolutely nothing to do with whether you did something perfectly or not. I used to beat myself up about doing social media videos. I would record them. I'd record them in God knows how many takes. I would edit them heavily afterwards. Sometimes I'd have to then set something up so that I could try and look in the same clothes and same lighting to try and re-record bits of it. I don't do that anymore. Most of the stuff that I do is live. As you can see with this video here, I'm doing it as a live. I'm probably not going to edit it. I'm probably not going to cut anything out. This will go into the course modules as it is. When I'm doing a lot of videos for social media, I much prefer to do them live. Perfectionism is not your friend. So as I say, if I would recommend that you ask yourself these 4 questions, even if you just do it for a couple of weeks, it's going to go some way to deprogram and to give you the awareness that something you deem to be perfect has no impact on whether things work, don't work, could be better, or any learnings that you get from it. So hopefully that's going to help you significantly dull down that perfectionism. And look, I get it. It might just seem like at the moment I'm throwing out something there that's, well, that's not going to work for me. It doesn't work. How can that work? It is linked to psychology. The repetition of awareness does help deprogram. So second part of this quick training then, I just wanted to spend just a few minutes taking you through a weekly planner. So we've looked there at trying to get super clear on what you're trying to achieve and why, and how you can focus on the right things. Now what I want you to start thinking about doing is recording what you're doing, planning and recording. So we're going to look at this next worksheet, which is the weekly planner and value extractor. So there's 2 parts to it. One is planning, and the second part is retrospectively looking back to work out what worked and what didn't, and what you're going to do different next time. So I'm going to whiz through this pretty quickly. So some of the things that you need to be looking at, ideally you do it at the end of the week, or maybe the weekend, or maybe you do it on the Monday to cover the previous week. And I want you to write down at least 3 wins from the previous week. I want you to write down 3 lessons from the previous week. Now, the lessons could be linked to the wins, but they don't necessarily have to be. I then want you to start getting used to tracking your KPIs. So based on the Facebook content funnel and the whole client shit sorted framework, there are key things that we need to start tracking. How many new conversations are we having that week? How many pieces of content have we posted that week? How many new chats, DMs have we started that week? How many strategy sessions? How many new clients have we signed? And what does that mean in pounds, shilling, and pence or dollars? Tracking these metrics from week to week will help us understand where we're either not putting enough effort in, or part of the system that we've got in place, the framework, is not refined enough. So let's say you're banging out loads and loads of content, but you're not managing to start new chats. To me, that would suggest that your content's not good enough. Your content's not refined enough. It's not compelling enough. Because if you're not starting chats, that'll be one of 2 things. You're either not getting any engagement, which is foot in the door to start new chats, or maybe you're just actually reluctant to start new chats. You're shit scared of actually going into the DMs. So by tracking these stats week on week, we will start to see patterns, and it will start to highlight where there's perhaps some weaknesses or areas for improvement in the framework that you have implemented based on the framework that you're learning. So get good at celebrating last week and tracking your stats. What I then want you to think about is, what are you then doing with the upcoming week across all parts of that week? So again, going back to that previous worksheet where you were super clear on, well, how much time do I need to spend each week on my business? It could be that you've got a 9 to 5. It could be that you decide that during your lunch hour, you can do sort of like 30 minutes. You can create a post and get it out there, and maybe you can do that every single day. Well, look, straight away now you've already committed to 2.5 hours work in your business. Maybe you're going to do a full day on Saturday. Maybe you're going to do half a day on Sunday. Now you're looking more like you've spent nearly 2 days in your business just from fitting that around and just being sensible and focused. It could be that you decide you're going to get up slightly earlier. Maybe you get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and you put an hour in every single morning before you go to your 9 to 5. Now we've got 5 additional hours that we're spending in our business. So this is for you to work out, and it's for you to map out. And once you've mapped out where you're going to do time in your business, try and stick to it. I don't want you to beat yourself up about it, but I do want you to give it quite a high priority and not make excuses as to why you couldn't. I want you to try and make excuses about other things that come and get in the way and try and push them back away again. So have a plan. So you've got your celebrate and retrospective of the previous week. I want you to look at planning your upcoming week. And then the final bit is, I want you to, as part of a retrospective from the previous week, I want you to look at the value. What are the key learnings and takeaways that you can draw from the previous week? So for example, you may have only posted twice that week instead of 4 times, and you may not have started as many chats. You may have only booked 1 strategy session last week, and if you're trying to get 10 a month, then really you should be getting 2 to 3 a week consistently. So have you recognized part of where you're letting your own framework down? Are there some key learnings and takeaways? Now they can be negative ones, they can be positive ones. Learnings and takeaways are all knowledge, they're all positive, but they could have been triggered by some sort of negative or positive activity. So try and start to record and track some of these things. Based on some of the learnings and takeaways, are there things you need to stop doing, start doing, and continue doing? So what's working well? You've decided getting up earlier and putting an hour in the morning. That's working really well. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to write my posts in that morning. I'm not going to post them then, but I'm going to write them then. So you might detail out that you're going to do some of your content creation in the mornings when you get up early. It may be that you decide that's when you're going to start your DM chats. It may be that there's certain things that you need to stop doing. Okay, so maybe when you go to start posting, you start scrolling on feeds and start looking at videos of cats and lad Bible videos and all sorts of stuff that starts distracting you. Are there things that you are aware of and conscious of that you absolutely need to stop? And other things on the strategy you're not even doing yet. So again, when I gave you the example earlier of maybe you're posting content, you're getting comments, are you starting the DMs? Well, no, I don't really like to start DMs. It feels awkward. Well, that's something you do need to start doing. You know, again, thinking of the Facebook content funnel in the previous lesson, it assumes that you are posting content onto your profile, and it assumes you're posting content into other people's groups. Are you even members of other groups? Or is it something you've never done before? Are you reluctant to be a member of other groups and to post stuff in there? Is that something you should start doing? Because it's on the framework, it's in the strategy. So you're looking for things that are in the strategy and framework that you've not started yet, that you need to. You're looking for things that are working well that you perhaps need to continue and do more of. And you're looking for things that are time wasters or disrupting you. Maybe it's even perfectionism, right? What are some of the things you need to stop doing? And then finally, it's about just getting absolutely real with yourself. You've got some learnings and takeaways. You've decided here on things you're going to start, stop, and continue doing. So what does that actually look like? Well, I'm going to commit to getting up at 5 a.m. each morning and create my post. I'm going to do that Monday to Friday. Fine. Write that action down. Commit it to yourself and any other actions that you need to do. Maybe between the hours of, 10 and 12, you actually put your phone face down. And you tell yourself, I'm not going to look at it, because then it's going to start making me scroll through videos and stuff on socials. Whatever it means to you, what actions are you going to take? So hopefully that gives you some clarity. And as I say, the weekly planner and value extractor, that's attached in the module, so you can download multiple copies of that and have one each week. Please do use it in the initial weeks, absolutely. As you go further through and your system's up and running, it may be that you've got most of the learnings, so you don't need to do it. But I would certainly say whilst you're working through all the modules, it's up to you whether you continue it after. But it is a really good way of tracking where you're up to and looking at retrospectively. The initial sheet that we went through, the focus sheet, that is all about doing it, mastering your time and efficiency once. It's about getting awareness and clarity once. The weekly planner and value extractor, that's a weekly activity. And I know that's going to take more time out of your week, but as with most things, and you'll know this as a coach, right? Awareness is everything. And I'll leave that thought with you, ready for the next lesson.